That's the end of that. But anyway, so this is Woody, and this is a force line. Okay, and if you look at it, it's 90 degrees to Woody's chest, or roughly. Okay, and people, you know, all the defensive coaches think the game is played like that, and for them it is because if they can sprawl and kick their feet back and extend their hips, you're not going to move them. We've said that a number of times. The head coach wants you to play like this, and when you fall down, he wants to know why. Okay, but I think if you study your video, most of the time you're playing at about a 45 or less. I guess so more like this, right? But I'm going to give you a 45 because it's easy to do and it's easier to talk about too. Okay, so that's about a 90. Now we know that if we're using the opponent as a lever, putting force in him at 90 degrees is the most efficient way to use him in angular momentum, use him as a lever, okay? And we want to put that force in as close to 90 degrees as we can. Okay, but this is the force line. If I put my feet on the force line, okay, stagger it, okay, and I put my hands here, that's the way I want to play, okay? And the closer I can get my hips to the force line, okay, the less strain there is on my back or my knees. Okay, this stuff's all moving around. So in other words, if I'm doing this, I've got my feet on the base of the force line and my hands where they want to be. But you can see I put a lot of strain on my back. And if I go like this, okay, I put a lot of strain on my knees. Plus my heels come off the ground. You can see it. Okay, you really don't want that. Plus now you got to arch your back, get your elbows back in line, and the whole thing is like that. That right there is pretty good. Okay, but I got to make sure that I don't slip. I can't have my feet slip. Okay, so what we did was we talked about the force line. Now, one thing I will tell you, you're in the big tree and you're torquing. And I've said this before. You have both feet on the ground, but as soon as you take one foot off the ground, all your weight's on the other foot. Okay, you got to understand that. So if your weight is on your back foot, you can't move it. Okay, you got to try and get your weight on your front foot. Right. Now here I am, right where I want to be. Okay. Now, if I spread my knees out like we talk about all the time, if I spread my knees out, okay, I can keep my feet closer to the base of the force line. Okay, and I can get what I'm looking for. Okay, if I bring my knees in, my butt either goes out, my knees go forward, and my heels come off the ground. We don't want that. Okay, we want to be as close to the force line, condensed or downshift to the force line, kind of in that manner, right there. Okay, knees out to give me better grip on the ground, get my hips close to the force line, and my back straight. Now remember, your back is nothing but a stack of bones. So if your back's not straight, you got to be pretty strong in here, okay? And like I said, this is all dynamic. This is not, it's not like a sled. Right? A sled doesn't move. It doesn't bend. It doesn't change. If this guy bends at the hips or turns his shoulders and takes away, you've got to be able to move your hands around and get back on him. And if you're hitting them, now this is what I like to do. Now, I like to hit them at an angle. Okay, either torque them with the hand or hit them at an angle. Okay, because he can't fight you. Right? He's fighting this force line. He's fighting this force line, and you come out and give him another force line. You don't need to put as much force in him to get him over and help your buddy out. Okay, we've been talking about this stuff. I just thought this was a good way of illustrating it. And Woody was, he was more than willing. Now, one thing we do know, as we start to use this guy's lever, if we do get him like this, we can extend, okay? We want to keep our feet down, but here's the force line, see it? Okay, it's like this now, okay? But he has no, he's only resisting gravity. If you can get him like this, he's only resisting gravity, right? We also know that if we sprawl too much, we're going to fall. He's going to shrug us and we're going to fall.